Hello, Michelle. How are you?
Joelle. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I'm very grateful to you
Mm.
for accepting to share your experience. And in this video, we are once again share an experience of beautiful birth. I think it's very important that women share their experience for others to be able to listen to it and from a real experience. This is something that happened to you. It's real because there's a lot of beliefs around birth and a lot of beliefs that it have to be horrible and painful and drama and this thing and all of that. So we want to heal all those wounds and the stories and beliefs around birth because we can have a beautiful birth. We can have a beautiful birth for the mother and for the baby because both are doing the work together.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm going to explain a little bit what we were talking about, and then I'll let you tell your story. And what I was sharing with Michelle was that when we are pregnant, it's like there's the baby in the belly, and there's the soul hovering in the field of the mother. And sometimes the mother can feel uh, that presence all along, or even before conception or during conception. So it's like we have, life on the third dimension and life on the fifth dimension. And these two beings really come together at birth. And what happens when we have a traumatic birth for the baby is that, it blocks the connection between the dimensions. And that's why we have a veil and we forget. Because here to the planet with a purpose. We come here because we chose to come and we chose the parents and the place and everything because we come in for something. And we come in usually to learn experiences, but more and more because we are living in these times of transition, and we as humanity and the planet also, we are shifting from third to fifth dimension.
Mhm.
So the new souls, the souls that are coming to the world right now, are either very advanced or literally souls that are just coming from this lifetime to be part of creating this new earth and this new life on earth. So it's very special. And the more we can support them, the more they're going to be able to open up all their potential, to unfold all their potential, and bring in their energy and whatever they choose to come to do on the planet in these special times. And I'm talking about souls, but you are probably one of those, it's been happening. It's just that right now, more and more of the babies that are born are babies that are from that level of evolution. And you have two of those in your home. And so, yeah, it's a beauty. I mean, I met them and they're really part of this new earth. And so I wanted to, because when there's trauma, so there's blockage, it's like you have to, are in pain, you are afraid as a baby, and it's panic attack. So you kind of like your consciousness go completely hide in fight or flight, in super stress, and you disconnect from your soul, your higher self, or whatever, your spirit, whatever you want to call it. That's what the stress does. And that's what we want to avoid. And it's not that you disconnect completely. You may have moments in life that are going to remind you, hey, this is what you really are. Hey, this is where you come. I mean, what you deeply inside is the truth, and you kind of have things outside that can remind you that. But what we want is to avoid as much as possible the trauma. Just have it's an initiation to come to the world. You go through the canal, you learn everything about third dimension, life on this planet, the laws, how it works. We know it's dance, there's limits, there is materia, and it's information that we need to have. But then we don't need to turn it into a trauma. We can support the process. And you, as a mother with the baby, you are together going through the challenge. You, as a mother, are living the most empowering moment in your life, right?
Mhm.
So I would love you to say whatever you feel like saying about your experience, whatever you want to share with other women that are.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to share my story. Um, I think I was like most women, and I just assumed I was gonna birth in a hospital because I didn't know. That was just what you see in the movies, right? It's just how you see women, how we've been conditioned to believe that that's how you deliver a baby. You go in a hospital, right? And you're on your back with your legs spread, and you have somebody telling you when to push. I mean, giving you directions, right? Literally giving you directions when to push and how long. So I think I was like most women. And when I found out I was pregnant, and by the way, I just wanted to speak on, what you had said when the soul is kind of in your field. I mean, my daughter, she came to me very clearly. Nova, so she's 11 years old, and I
This
was,
feels that she's so special.
no, thank you. Yeah, she's almost 12 years old. So I want to say, almost 13 years ago now, she came into my field very clearly in a dream, very crystal clear.
Wow.
And I knew the moment I was pregnant, when I found out I was pregnant, I knew it was her. I knew it was a girl. It was so strong. I didn't even, anyway, I think when you're in tune, I think a lot of this is owning your own intuition, right? Because so much of what we are conditioned to believe is trusting the experts or trusting the outside world, right? Instead of going within. So when you get hits like this, like I knew I was having a girl because she came to me before I conceived, probably about a month and a half or 2 months before I conceived, very clearly, very powerfully in a dream. And it was her soul, and it was the sweetest, most pure, just pure love, pure beauty, right? And when I got pregnant, I knew it was her. It was, and it's her. That's
It's her.
her.
Yes, yes.
But
So
anyway,
you listen. So that's the one first key. You listen to yourself. You didn't like give your power away, like
I did give my
because we
power
are,
away.
yes.
No, I think so much of what we do, right? We get hits all the time. Everyone does. I'm not anyone special. It's everybody receives messages constantly, right? And it's whether you tune in and choose to listen or you dismiss it as what, oh, it's just a dream. It was just fantasy.
Mhm.
Um, and it's always a choice. We're constantly being given messages. And so anyway, when I found out I was pregnant, I was just assuming, okay, I knew I wanted to do a natural birth. And so I found an OB who her she had like a very low rate of C-sections. So I wanted to find a woman doctor who had a high rate of natural deliveries, who, you know, didn't just do C-section. So I knew I wanted a natural birth. I knew I didn't want drugs and all that stuff, but I just assumed I would do it in a hospital because I didn't know anything else. When you don't know, you don't know, right?
Mhm.
Um, I didn't I didn't know there were other options really. Um, and I loved my OB and I was probably about 5 months pregnant with Nova and I did a hospital tour and it was at Cedars-Sinai. And I remember driving with my husband to do the hospital tour and just imagining myself in labor driving through LA traffic, parking in the parking garage as I'm in labor, right? Getting in an elevator.
I stop you for a second there because that is number two super important tip is
Mhm.
that labor is a process, is a natural process. And if you do that, like you take your stuff, you go in the car and you do those moves, whether you are a human or an animal, it's going to stop the process.
Exactly, exactly. And I didn't know this at the time, right? I didn't have that information because no one gives you that information. No one tells you this stuff, right? But yeah, I want to touch on that in a second. But I do the hospital tour because you're so right. It stops labor the minute you are in distress of any kind and you're not comfortable and relaxed in your body. Your labor stops, your contractions actually stop, and it prolongs the labor and the labor process and then in turn creates more suffering. So, but I didn't know this at the time. No one, your OB doesn't give you this information. No one gives you this information.
Oh.
Um, and so, all I've heard is horror stories from other mothers who've delivered just prior to me, their girlfriends. Anyway, I do the hospital tour and I'm just envisioning like, oh, this is so weird. I can't imagine like going into the parking garage and getting in an elevator with strangers and waiting in a waiting room and then walking into a very sterile, cold room with fluorescent lighting and cold, hard concrete floors and sitting in a bed being hooked up to machines by nurses that I don't know. And from that moment, I was like, this feels very counterintuitive. It felt wrong in every cell in my body. It felt so wrong. And I did have a friend who did a home birth who around the same time I was doing the hospital tour, she um, had a home birth. And so I started inquiring about that. I never really thought about it actually. And then I started asking her about it because she just had a home birth. And I think she was the one who suggested to watch The Business of Being Born, that Ricky Lake documentary. I don't know if you've seen it. I would highly recommend it to any mother. I mean, no matter what you choose, how you choose to deliver, how it's so informational and it was so eye-opening to me because like you were saying, so in the documentary they use this example of when a cat is in labor, it finds the darkest, quietest place in the house to labor and give birth to her kittens, right?
Mhm. And by herself,
And by
usually,
herself alone.
that's another point,
Yeah.
yes. Not with
And
nurses coming in and out and doctors coming in and out and not letting you do whatever you want.
so, she says that the cat, once you start witnessing the birth or get, a human or whatever interrupts the process and, wants to help it along and starts it, like you said, it stops labor. It stops contractions and it actually, because it's not relaxed, because you have to be so relaxed and it's such a vulnerable time that it's the most vulnerable time in your life, really, a mother giving birth. And it's so primal, right? You are just in your animal self too. And you need to be in that whole primal presence. Like you need to let go. And the minute you have, ultimately I got rid of my OB. I loved her. She was wonderful, but I ended up finding a midwife who I loved and I had a home birth, and because I was in the comfort of my own home, and I had my husband there, and I had my own bed. I was able to just be in my primal presence, right? And be my animal self. And I was, when I was laboring, I mean, it was painful. The contractions were intense. I didn't have pre-labor, is what they call it. Like I went from being zero dilated to like 8, in like an hour or so. But,
Nice. Oh,
yeah, I
wow.
was able to, pace and scream and just be in my animal self, right? I could get into any position. I believe in a hospital, they don't let you get into certain positions. I mean, I could get in my tub. I had a birthing tub that we had in our bedroom at the time. And, I could get in, and that helped some of the pains. But I think, the bottom line was I kept following my own inner inner guidance that was like, oh, that makes sense. This doesn't make sense. This seems is so wrong for me, right? For who I am. And I had, when I decided I was going to do a home birth, I had friends, I had family, I had coworkers basically telling me I was stupid and that I was putting myself and my baby in danger. They were living in the fear, right? Because we are so conditioned as women to fear birth, to fear the delivery process when it's just as natural as growing the baby inside your womb. The delivery is no different. That's just another part of being pregnant, right? It's just another stage of the pregnancy. And so we've pathologized something that is so natural. And we've been conditioned as women and as a society, and to fear birth. And I think the same way about death. I think we've been conditioned as a society to fear death, right? And the resistance to it, the resistance to delivery, putting it in the expert's hands. Like this doctor knows better than my body. My body, as a woman, you have inner wisdom, and to lean into that and to trust that is what is empowering. And I think what is so necessary right now, because we live in a society where we're not listening to that inner guidance, right? That inner guidance that all of us have, that we're all given that gift. We are giving our powers away. And even in spite, I mean, I even had certain family members who basically were bribing me to do a hospital birth. They were like, oh, well, we'll pay for your doula. We'll pay for your expenses if you do it in a hospital. I mean, they were so scared of me do giving birth. Take they wanted to control my experiences, my experience with my daughter. But I continued to just listen to my own inner guidance. And if you think about it, women have been doing this since the beginning of time.
Mhm.
So why are we interfering with such a natural process? Why are we, there's like this unnecessary medical intervention. Like I said,
Yeah.
birth is treated as like an illness, or pregnancy is treated as a pathology, something that you need to intervene, medical intervention. It's not necessary unless it's necessary. I'm not saying that there are not situations where medical intervention is not needed. Absolutely, there are.
Yeah.
But I would
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I could tell you the whole story when I was studying to become a doula. They make you read the whole story of how this whole thing started, having you lose your power as a woman. Uh, but it's kind of a long story. But yeah, the point is that the idea was that you were not in charge anymore, and you had to lay down, which is the most uncomfortable because it's going against gravity, and
it's
every
crazy.
Yes, so then it becomes difficult. And then at the beginning, there was no C-section because we were not there yet, but there was a lot of forceps. And then it became more medical. And then it was, men, because women were not doctors. It was, not a profession for women. So in the hands of men, patriarch, the patriarch society. And then it became a business in the end, where the more we do, C-section is like fast and good money.
Yes, it's on the time of the doctors. They can control the timing, right? Instead of your baby's timing. Your baby, it's like there's no like exact time of delivery, right? If you go over, what is it, 42 weeks or something? 42, right? Is that 42 weeks?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, it's
They
crazy to
give
me.
you yes, they give you a date and everything.
Give you
And
an exact date, and then if you go over that date, you're late. I mean, I think everything happens in divine timing, right? And um,
absolutely.
yes, not to say that medical intervention is not necessary in certain situations, but I think for the most part, it's if you allow the natural process to happen and you fully trust in it,
Yes.
it will unfold the way it's supposed to unfold. And, you know,
And I want to tell you that it's not that I'm against the medical system or anything,
right.
because I've had women where I told them to prepare for a C-section.
Mhm. Mhm.
I told them with the OBGYN I was working with, we created this amazing house for natural birth, and everything was natural. But he knew in some cases that it was not going to work. It was going to create a situation. It was not possible for some reason. So we would prepare for a C-section, but a magical C-section, first of like beautiful C-section where the husband was there, the doula was there. And then when the baby was born and had connected with the mother, I would take the baby. I mean, they would give me the baby and I would go and put him back in the water, in the
Mm.
warm water, and give him all the massage and all the information he didn't get in his nervous system because he didn't go through the canal. So we did our best to balance the situation, but thank God for the possibility of a C-section. The
No,
thing is
absolutely.
that,
I'm not
yeah,
knocking that and I'm by no means knocking the medical system, but I do think we put too much power, and
yeah,
I think a lot of women, look, I didn't know until I knew. I did not know until I knew. And I think so many women don't have the knowledge and don't know that they have options. And it is a choice, right? You have to do what's right for you. I just knew for myself, and thank God I chose. I mean, I ended up, um, my labor was only 4 hours with my daughter, 4 hours with my son. There was no telling me when to push or how to put, it just was, again, your body, just as your body knows how to grow the baby inside of your belly, and your baby knows how to grow inside of your belly, it knows how to come out of the birth canal, and your body spontaneously knows what to do. And
and
you
you're
know
doing it right now. You're just doing it right now.
you just know, right? As your body knows. It is so intelligent, and we don't value that anymore. We don't value this. It's a very sacred time, birth and death, I will say, because both I will say, I think we are robbed of
Mhm.
humans are robbed of the most sacred rite of passage and experience, right? Birth and death. We have given that this sacred experience to the powers that be. We give it to the experts to deal with, right? And because, I'm not going to say it wasn't painful, but with the pain, you cannot experience the euphoria without the pain, right? And I can say this with death too. Of course it is sad when your loved one is dying, but if you do it with dignity, and if you do it
Yes.
with holding this,
Space.
and you're in a liminal space, you're in between the worlds. And if you can, like the cat who's in labor, when you take them out of there, they can't be in
Mm.
flow and in the magic and in that liminal space where you literally
Right.
can see the angels around you, right? Um,
Yeah.
you literally, I mean,
Mm.
when I gave birth to my daughter, I will say it was so, all I can say was that, I have first of all, I never experienced anything like it before, where you are in this liminal space and it is so palpable that just it's just pure palpable love. Like I could see the angels around me in the room. They were you can feel them, but they were there. I could see them. And everybody, even my midwife, was like, whoa, every was like, you're in the space, you are in the liminal space between both worlds, where the veil is completely lifted, right? And it's just liquid love pouring out of you. And I was telling you that it is the most euphoric experience. It is a euphoria that I have never, can remember experiencing, where you you have this cocktail of love hormones just oozing out of you, like oxytocin and all these endorphins and prolactin and dopamine and serotonin. And it's just, it's so real, though. It's physical, it's real. And I
Mhm.
have to say, it um I mean, how could it not be just the most magical? I mean, here's all of a sudden this physical being, and you
Yeah,
really
just
are in this magical liminal space where the angels are in the room. It's palpable, the love, the raw, real, authentic love. It is just present. And your body just naturally makes this cocktail of love hormones, right? You are just oozing all this oxytocin and all these endorphins, and it's producing dopamine and serotonin and prolactin, and it's this love cocktail, right? It really is. And it's a physical, it's love manifested, right? It is. Wow, it is. Oh my God. All of a sudden, then you have this human, this little baby, this precious, the most pure thing in the whole wide world in your arms, and you're holding this love, pure love, and it's just oozing in the room. And even my midwife was like blown away, because I mean, everybody, we felt it was like, it was the most magical space in the world. It is, like I said, the veil is completely lifted between both worlds, and you are just in this liminal space of no time, no space, right? It's just pure love. And I have to say this, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. And it could be the same thing with death. I mean, I know we're talking about birth here, but I feel like the two are, um, they're polarities, but they're one and the same, they're
it's
both
the
right.
same.
It's the same.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah. You
you can
it's going
experience.
through the channel also, and we could do a whole video about that one because also did that,
But
Uh,
I will say, I will say, I had an experience. Both of my parents have passed away, and one was a just very, again, very going through the system death, almost like a hospital birth, right? And
mhm.
And the other experience, I got to really be present and hold this liminal space, hold this sacred space. And again, it's just it can be beautiful, and it's all the power is with each of and every one of us, right? To what how we choose to experience this is all I'm saying, is that both birth and death are very profound experiences, but there's so much beauty and so much love in each one of them. And you
Yes.
know, are you going to allow yourself to be present to it all?
Yes. Yes. I'm so grateful for you and for, for us doing this video. I'm so, so grateful for what you're sharing. And the big message is remember that you are in your power. We are so conditioned in this society of like having everybody else making decisions for ourselves. And there's like a whole system telling us what we are, what to think, what to do, when to do it, almost like when you can breathe in and when you can breathe out,
For everything.
That's not the reality. And more women, more and more people are feeling that this is not it, but it can be, frightening, like, oh my God. So that's why it's so important. Like right now, you are sharing this story. It's somebody, everybody, because others are going to listen to this and say, hey, that resonates so much with me. I had some doubts. I don't have them anymore.
Well, the
I'm going to,
unknown, right? What you don't know the unknown is scary, right? It's a scary what you don't know can be scary. And when you are a first-time mother, you have no idea what is coming. But in the same sense, that's everything in life. And it's almost like you have to really dive into the unknown and trust you're gonna be okay, no matter what, right? Um,
trust the process of life, because like you said, you saw the angels, you felt the luminous, you felt that is the real, and that is always there. Not
always
only, yes,
It's
yes.
always there. We always have access to it, right? We always have access to this place.
Mhm.
Um, you know, are you going to allow yourself to get there, to be
Right.
present and open to it? Because it's always here.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, we just forgot because of the conditioning and the birth trauma and this and that. But hey, here we are, more and more of us, like saying, remember the reality, that is the reality. That is the reality. So just surrender. It's so important, this message right now in these times, because the veil in general is getting thinner. The same way that the magnetic field of the earth is kind of dissolving, is getting thinner. Same way for the veil is getting thinner. And it's all about connecting with that bliss. It's
Yes,
there. Know it. Trust it. Just there, open that door.
absolutely. And you just have to keep, one foot in front of the other. What feels right in this moment? What deep down is my truth, not his or that's doctor or this expert over here. What do I, what's my truth?
Yes.
Oh, I have to say too, there was a point I remember with when I was in labor with Nova. Um, it was so painful. And my the advice my midwife always gave me was just like lean into it like a wave, ride the pain like a wave, right? And I think it was the best advice instead of like the resisting it, right? Because the suffering comes in the resistance. That's where the true suffering is, right? And when you know it's just going to last like this. You will get through each contraction. You just ride it like a wave and you will get to the other side. But I thought about this, had I been in the hospital and there was medicine readily available, I probably would have been like, give me the fucking drugs or give me the whatever, right? And because you're in so much pain, you just want the relief. Um,
Mhm.
and now I'm not going to say it's not painful, but I think if you can ride the waves of and it's life too, right? With the
Yes. And,
pain,
and sorry to interrupt. And it's different for each one of us.
right?
So there's two aspects of this
Mm,
about the pain. So, like you said, number one, pain is resistance. So for me, in my experience, where the contract coming, I was stronger. I was
mm.
ahead of the contraction.
Yes.
So whatever the strength of the contract, because the second one came in 2 hours.
Wow.
At 2 hours to do 10 centimeters, you know? So each, like it was literally four contractions and then two push. That was it. So
Amazing.
every contraction, but I had in my mind that I'm going to be stronger than
Mm.
what's coming. I'm stronger than what's coming. So I had my way to be stronger. And that's why I do the preparation to birth, to give all kinds of tools. And then you pick the one that works for you. Usually the woman picks one of them and keeps using that one. For me, it was with the breathing. So I didn't feel the pain because I was riding the wave and I was so strong, I was so strong. I'm like in the wave, And it's funny because both my sons were super surfers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they surf the waves. So, but it's exactly what you're saying. It's the wave is coming and I'm going to be giving tools to ride that wave. And
Yeah.
other women, they are, I mean, I saw a couple, like literally, they didn't do anything. They didn't feel anything. You could see the belly moving, the belly doing the job. And they were there like, okay, whatever. Oh, look, it's moving. Oh,
Yeah.
it's happening. And then the baby went like down. So there's an aspect of it is that we have memories, ancestral memories, and there's ways to prepare to birth by clearing those memories as possible. At the beginning, I was using rebirthing, and sometimes it works, and the memories, get cleared, so the channel is completely open. And sometimes it doesn't. I had a girl, she literally like was doing amazing because I tell them you're going to get the biggest orgasm of your life, so get ready. So with each contraction she was like, like, oh my god, I'm getting closer to, oh, this is feeling so good. And suddenly she falls asleep.
Wow.
But I prepared her to birth. So I knew that in her own experience was when she was being born, she
Um,
had a anesthesia.
uh,
So the doctor came in and he said, "What happened?" And I said, "Just don't worry. She's just fell asleep. She's under anesthesia. She
when she
didn't
when she was being born, her mother was under anesthesia.
got anesthesia at the last minute."
Okay. That was like
Uh,
something they used to do. They don't do
But
that anymore, do they?
because nowadays it doesn't affect you that much, but it does affect a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long, like 50 years ago, it was a different. Like I was born with surgical anesthesia, so
Yeah,
there
no,
was.
my husband's mother, his grandmother, I know I remember asking her about her delivery, and she was like, I don't remember anything. They just put me under anesthesia. It was just done. Like, you know, that's just
Yes. So this girl literally fell asleep at the end. The baby was really like crowned already, ready to come out, and zoom, she's gone.
Mm.
So we had to do it with her, with the pushes. We had to do it with her, like bringing the baby with the belly and all of that. But because I knew that was her story, so nobody freaked out, if you know.
It,
Otherwise, they would have like run, do a C-section, take the baby out, panic attack. No, it was just like a little bit more difficult because she was sleeping. And when the contraction was coming, she was like waking up. It's like, ouch, ouch, what's going on? you know,
I think it is important to know the history and
yes.
also to tell talk, the other thing I did all during my pregnancy was I talked to both of my babies and I said, I don't want any more than an 8-hour labor, and you're gonna keep your head down, keep your face to my back. You tell them to get in position. You got to communicate because they listen. That's
Oh,
the other thing. They will listen to their mama, and both my babies listened.
no,
And
and it's a collaboration.
it's
They are
exactly.
total collaboration. And I'm going to do a video talking about the journey of the baby, because how is he or she feeling right now? What does she know of what's happening? How far into the tunnel is he or she? She needs to have the people telling you, oh, you're doing fine, you're doing great. And, we're almost there. This is what's going on. Both of you are working parallel,
It is.
get
Yeah.
together. And the ecstasies that you are feeling building up for them, because they are so under so much pressure and they are working hard to push to get out, it's building up in their blood. But when they come out, there is an explosion and they have the orgasm. You have
Mm.
it first, like the full, you gone in the light or whatever.
Mhm.
First, but they have to get out so the pressure is gone, and all these accumulation of hormones is literally an explosion. And it has a purpose, because if you come into anything in your life through an experience of total ecstasy, bliss, orgasm, whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
you love that place. You're totally in love with that place. You are totally full of energy and passion to go for your life 100%. You're not nothing is stopping you, you know.
Mm. Mm.
So when the baby comes out, it's like, respect that moment. Let him land, open eyes, like, let him know that you are aware, that you are there to support him or her.
Mm.
This is a precious, precious, precious moment. So yes, it's such a collaboration, such a wonderful collaboration.
I felt it every step of the way with both the babies. It is absolutely they're working just as hard. It is a collaboration, and
Mhm.
yes.
Yes.
And
And
with
so
oh,
also
sorry.
your experience were like very similar.
Well, Nova was more. They were so they were both 4-hour labors, but with Nova, like I said, I went from zero dilated to I was hard labor. No pre-labor. It was never like a slow, it just went from 0 to 60. And I was in intense hard labor for most of the time with Julian. And both of them I birthed in the tub. And with Nova, I was like on all, like literally like this on all fours. It just, my body went into that position. And like you, it was like 2 pushes, done. I just spontaneously, my body did it. With Julian, it was almost like the labor was so so gentle that I almost thought it was Braxton Hicks. Like I almost felt bad calling my midwife. I was like, maybe I'm not even in labor. Thank God. I mean, she came like just in the nick of time because when he came out again, it was so quick. And I think I was in the tub again and I was like, hold on, let me show you. I was like this, like literally just like this when I gave birth. And he just came out, like just shot out like a football or something. Like, and I mean, my face was like this, like I was looking up in such disbelief. I was like, am I done? Is this done? Because I couldn't, I was almost like I almost wanted to keep going. Like I almost wanted to be in that place longer. I was in such ecstasy that I couldn't believe it happened so quick and it was done. I mean, not that I wasn't ecstatic and so happy to hold my baby. I mean, it is just, and you're just in tears. It's just liquid love is just pouring out of you. Um, but yeah, they were both similar, both around the same time at night, both 4 hours, both very beautiful, and and um, just the most amazing, extraordinary, magical thing I've ever experienced in my life. To it's such a blessing and such a miracle, and
And there's many aspects to this experience. I mean, for one is the living proof that you are powerful, how powerful you can be, and that's something that I want to remind everybody, every woman. And, also it's good to work with the partner, if there is a partner, because he has the energy. He was born, he had an experience in his birth, and that is in his cells, in his energy, and it's going to contribute, going to make a difference. If he had an easy birth, it's going to help you have an easier birth.
mm,
He had trauma, birth trauma, C-section, whatever, it's going to be in the field, because this
mm,
is all about energy and
yeah,
memories. So that's why the preparation to birth is so very important and can make a difference. And that's why I'm doing this work. Part of this preparation to birth is to listen to stories like yours. And I hear you saying that with the first, you felt the contractions were really hard. With the second, you didn't have that experience because Nova had opened the doors already.
I think also too, the unknown can be scary. And I almost couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, even though I think it's important to have an anchor and some sort of one person you trust to kind of be your advocate. So you don't, but just something to anchor into, just a knowing that everything is going to be okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I really, 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 really appreciate you sharing this. This
Mhm.
this was a this is such a powerful sharing, Michelle. Really appreciate. So I'm hoping you are okay to be all over the place with your story, because I'm the woman to listen to your story.
Sure. No, I'm so happy to share my story. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for bringing to the world two of those very specials and
It
doing such a good job as a mother, because it doesn't stop at birth. It's like
doesn't
the
stop at birth.
choices, the choices you're making, the way you're educating your children, connection they have with nature, the connection they have with their heart. It's like a support system to let them be the real them, the real, shine their light, you know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, again, it's continuing to nurture that inner wisdom that we all have, right? You continue, just continue. The miracles don't stop at birth. It just, the miracles keep going every day, right? Every time I see, Nova was just in Greece, right? I was like, oh my God, like it just seeing like her, blossoming into this young woman is like, wow, where did, it's every day is a miracle. And
Yes.
it's fascinating to watch them grow. But I think, yes, continuing to just nurture the inner guidance, continue to listen to that. Know we have agency over our own
And
bodies.
to let them know that is their birthright. You're there to protect them, basically, to protect these birthrights. They have you. You got them.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, wow, that was, yeah, I got the chills so many times. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope it helps a lot of you women getting ready to have that amazing, most amazing experience of your life. It's such an initiation. It's so powerful and it's so worth it. And we have the power, we have the strength, we have everything, and we have all the support in all the levels. Like you said, the angels, your guides, God, light, spirit. It's true. Here's the proof.
Yes. And all your grandmothers and their grandmothers, all the women that have come before you, right? Who did this so that
Yes.
you were here, in order for you to be here, right? That they all went through this.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you can too.
Yes, and now we have the opportunity to do it with so much more consciousness, so much more support. We can find support out there. There's so much more consciousness. So it's going to be more and more luminous, basically. Yeah. And you are the living proof of it. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you, Joelle. Thank you.